They were brown, white, young, old, a chorus bound by exhaustion, and a single shared truth. That justice had become a luxury, not a right. Renee moved through the march like a heartbeat. Her voice joined the others in chants that rattled windows and shook glass. For a moment, it almost felt like unity could bend the world back into shape. But the sirens arrived, sharp, slicing through hope like teeth. Police lined up in armor that gleamed under the streetlights, their visors reflecting the fire from protesters' candles. A thin line of blue dividing the living from the grieving. Someone shouted. Someone threw a bottle. And just like that, peace was branded as chaos. The news vans arrived before the ambulances. Cameras captured the smoke, not the silence that came before it. They framed the anger, but never the reason. They called it unrest. But to Renee, it was released. Across town, Malik's son Jordan sat on the couch, watching the coverage replay again and again. His small hands clutched the drawing they found in his father's car. A stick-figure family, holding hands beneath a yellow sun. But on TV, the world was on fire. He didn't understand why they said his father's name with fear. His grandmother tried to turn off the screen, but Jordan whispered, "I want to see him." And she froze, because the only version left of Malik the world wanted to show was the one lying still on the pavement. The next morning, the headlines were split down the middle. Half called it an uprising, half called it a riot, but no one called it grief. No one called it love. Renee sat by the window, scrolling through the chaos. Someone had posted the body cam footage. She watched it once, then again, and again. She saw Malik's calm, his carefulness, the slow reach for his wallet, the flash, the collapse, and the officer's trembling voice saying, "I thought he had a gun." But the frame before the shot, the frame no one could stop replaying, showed nothing in Malik's hands except fear. That image spread faster than any headline. It burned through timelines, through cities, through souls. Every share was a scream. Every comment is a mirror. In the station, the officer sat in a dim room while his lawyer spoke for him. His eyes darted toward the camera, and for a fleeting second, he seemed like he wanted to apologize, but not to Malik, to himself. Because somewhere deep inside, he knew the truth. You can justify an action, but you can't outrun its echo. By nightfall, the city was under curfew. Helicopters throbbed overhead like war drums, and in the glow of the fires, someone spray-painted on a wall, "Still here." The same words Malik once said to his students. The same words that now belonged to everyone he left behind. The world said Malik's name now, but not the way his son did. Not soft, not filled with love. They said it in chants, in hashtags, in headlines. It was no longer his name. It was a weapon and a wound. Renee stood in front of a courthouse draped in banners. Rain slicked the pavement, and every droplet carried the reflection of someone who refused to go home. They waited for a verdict, for acknowledgement, for the world to finally whisper, "We see you." But the system does not whisper. It grinds. It delays. It waits for exhaustion to do the work that silence can't. The DA's office released a statement. After careful review, no criminal charges will be filed. That sentence, clean, sterile, surgical, cut deeper than any bullet. The crowd erupted, not in surprise. In disbelief, yes, but not surprise, because they had seen this film before. Same script, different names. Renee clenched her sign tighter, her fingers trembling. A reporter's microphone appeared like a vulture. "What do you want to say to the officer?" Her eyes lifted, steady, burning. "I don't want to talk to him," she said. "I want to talk to the mirror he avoids." That night, Malik's mother watched the chaos unfold on television. Flames licking at police cruisers. Sirens bleeding through chants. She turned off the TV and sat in the dark, hands clasped around Malik's old watch. It had stopped working the day he died. The second hand forever paused at 9:47 p.m. Days passed, but time didn't move. Everywhere she went, Renee saw Malik's face. On murals, on T-shirts, projected onto skyscrapers. But the more the image spread, the less real it felt. The man was gone, The symbol had taken his place. And symbols, she realized, don't breathe. She started organizing small meetings, digital campaigns. The words justice for Malik filled her living room wall. But as a movement grew, and she whispered, no more waiting up. In every city, there's a name that never leaves a pavement. In every heart, a question that never finds an answer. And somewhere between justice and forgiveness, the next name waits. The city slept uneasily now. You could feel it in the hum of streetlights, in the silence between the sirens, in the way even the wind seemed cautious, as if afraid to disturb what was coming. Malik's name had not vanished. It had transformed from a tragedy into a rallying cry, from grief into fuel. And at the center of it all stood Renee, a woman who never wanted to lead, but learned that silence has a body count. She spoke now with fire in her throat. Her words carried across college stages, church pulpits, courthouse steps. She spoke of reform, of resistance, of remembering, and each time she did, the crowd grew, but with every chant that rose, there was another voice, quiet, mocking online, calling her dangerous, calling her divisive, calling her ungrateful. The more she spoke, the more the system tried to turn her into an enemy. One morning, she opened her phone and found her face plastered across the news, not for her words, but for the way she said them. A clip, 15 seconds long, edited without her pause, made her look like a threat. The networks played it on loop. Commentators debated her tone, but none of them mentioned Malik's name anymore. It was never about tone. It was about control. That same day, the mayor announced a new community peace initiative. Cameras rolled. Police chiefs shook hands with pastors. A mural unveiling. A performance of progress. Renee watched it from the back of the crowd. Her arms folded, her heart pounding. The mural was Malik's face again. But now, painted over the words, justice for all, as if a slogan could wash away a life. She walked away before the applause ended. Her footsteps echoed through the alley behind City Hall. And that's where she found graffiti. No justice, no quiet. Fresh paint, still dripping. Someone else had written what she could not say aloud. That night, she went live on her stream. Thousands tuned in. Her face was shadowed, the background dark. She spoke slowly, deliberately. We are told to march peacefully. We are told to wait for justice. But waiting is what killed Malik. Waiting is what kills us all, piece by piece. Maybe the system doesn't need reform. Maybe it needs reckoning. The clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, the media had its new headline. Activists called for reckoning. They missed the point. Again. They always did. The next week, a protest erupted outside police headquarters. Bigger than any before. Flags waved. Voices merged into thunder. The air felt charged, like static before a storm. Renee stood on a car roof, megaphone in hand. The police formed a wall opposite her. Helmets, shields, eyes hidden. Malik Carter, she cried. The crowd roared back his name. Again and again, each repetition less like mourning, more like defiance. Then, a single pop, not a gunshot this time, a bottle breaking. But fear is fast. And training is faster. The riot shields moved. The gas canisters flew. Screams filled the night like shattered glass. Renee fell, hit the pavement. Her vision blurred, blue lights dancing in her tears. When the footage aired, the headlines read, "Violence at protest turns deadly." But what they didn't show, what they always edited out, was the moment after. A man in a gray hoodie, trembling, stood over Renee's body and whispered, "This can't be all we are." The next morning, the world woke to a new video, a masked figure, a voice distorted. You call it order. We call it oppression. You call it law. We call it survival. This city will not sleep until justice wakes. The video ended with a single image, Malik's mural, burning. For days, no one claimed responsibility. Speculation turned to hysteria. Officials blamed activists. Activists blamed infiltrators. The truth was lost in the smoke. But one thing was certain. The movement had changed, and so had Renee. She emerged from the hospital with a cane and a scar down her cheek, but her voice had grown sharper, less hopeful, more certain. She no longer asked for justice. She demanded it. They want peace, she told the crowd. But peace built on fear is just silence with a heartbeat. Every syllable carried the weight of Malik's last breath. Every pause reminded them that she'd survived what others did not. The city skyline at dawn, murals fading on cracked walls. A boy, Jordan, now older, walking past a police cruiser without flinching. When the world burns, it leaves behind ash and seeds. In the ruins of Malik's name, something else began to grow. Not forgiveness, not revenge, but memory. And memory, when shared, becomes power. The city has changed, or maybe it hasn't. Sometimes the difference between progress and performance is just the shade of the paint on a wall. 10 years have passed. The murals are fading. The hashtags have slowed. But the memory still hums beneath the surface, like a heartbeat under concrete. Malik's name now lives on a banner in a museum downtown. They call it the Reckoning Years. Photos, clips, art, a timeline of pain arranged neatly behind glass. Visitors whisper as they pass, eyes wide, hearts open, then step back into the sunlight, unchanged, but not everyone left it behind. Jordan Carter walks through that museum one rainy afternoon. He's older now, 22, taller, quieter, the kind of quiet that hides thunder. He stops in front of his father's photograph. There's no smile in the image, just calm, just that steady look, like a man who already knew how the story ends. The plaque beneath it reads, Malik Carter, 1990 to 2020, victim of a traffic stop turned fatal, catalyst for reform. Jordan stares at the word victim. He whispers it aloud. It doesn't fit. His father wasn't a victim. He was a man who fixed cars, loved his son, and died because someone else couldn't see the difference. He presses his palm to the glass. For a moment, his reflection merges with Malik's. Two faces, one story. Outside, rain streaks down the steps of the courthouse. The same courthouse where Malik once stood. Now it's cleaner, more polished. Body cams, diversity posters, a department reimagined. But the same fear lingers, invisible and practiced. Jordan works nearby now, a journalist, camera always at his side. He documents what others ignore. The stops, the questions, the names that never trend. He tells himself he's doing it for his father. But sometimes he wonders if he's doing it for himself. To prove that survival can mean more than breathing. One night, he follows a call, a tip about another incident. He drives out to the edge of the city. Same highway, same stretch of road. Blue and red again. History repeating in strobe light. He parks at a distance. The rain glistens on the windshield. He lifts his camera. Through the lens, he sees a car pulled over. A young man, hands trembling on the wheel. An officer leaning too close. Jordan feels the air tighten. He opens the door, steps out slowly, camera rolling. The officer notices him. Sir, step back. Jordan doesn't move. I'm just recording, he says calm. For transparency. The flashlight hits his face. The moment stretches. A familiar silence returns. The one Malik once knew too well. But this time, someone else is watching. Phones lift. Windows open. A chorus of witnesses. The officer lowers his voice. The tension thins. Not gone, but altered. Jordan keeps filming until the lights fade. The driver drives away. Alive. That night he returns home. Same porch light. Same neighborhood. His grandmother still keeps it on. She's older now, voice softer. But her eyes still carry that same weight of waiting. You went out there again, she says. Yeah, Jordan replies. You look just like him when you get that look, she whispers. Which look? The one that says you're not afraid, but you should be. They sit in silence. Tea between them. The same ritual. The same ache. Finally, she says, I used to pray for the world to change. Now I just pray it doesn't take you too. Later, Jordan uploads a footage. No narration. No captions. Just the truth, unedited. It goes viral within hours. Not for the violence. There was none, but for the almost. The pause before. The history behind. People comment. We've seen this before. Not again. Thank you for filming. Renee shares it too. Older now. Voice steadier. Still relentless. She adds only 2 words. He learned. Weeks pass. The video sparks hearings, debates, another wave of promises. Jordan is asked to speak on a panel. Media, justice, and memory. He stands on stage, lights in his eyes, an audience waiting. They call it coverage, he begins. But we don't cover the truth. We uncover it. My father's story wasn't news. It was a warning. And if you have to keep repeating a warning, maybe it's not the people who need to change. Maybe it's the system that keeps pretending it already has. The crowd is silent. Then applause. Slow. Heavy. Honest. Malik's mural, restored, now cracked but still standing. Renee watching from a distance, her reflection in the paint. Jordan's camera on a desk, still recording, even as he steps away. The porch light glowing, steady. In the end, Malik Carter's story was never just about loss. It was about legacy, about how pain becomes protest, and protest becomes purpose. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. See you on the next one.